Hello, welcome back. This is Chef Byers, and this is Andy 235, Module 11. We're going to be creating some blend shapes. Some of you have been emailing me, asking me some questions about blend shapes and needing some extra help. So hopefully I'll do this real quick video, get this uploaded to you as soon as possible so you guys can finish up your blend shapes. Kind of the do's and don'ts, some of the things that you're asking, I'm going to go ahead and answer. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first things first, you need to make sure that your character is in feet. So if you modeled it in centimeters, you'll need to select all your character clothing and character hair, eyes, everything, and combine it together. It's not going to hurt anything. I know you guys have textured and UV mapped everything, so that won't be hurt at all. So what I want you to do is go ahead and combine it. Scale it up 2 feet, so each grid unit will be a foot. So don't go above 6 feet. Between 5 and 6 would be good. Alright, so when you finish that, you can delete the history and you can go ahead and select the object and separate everything again. And then I want you to put your clothes, each piece of your clothing in a different layer. I want you to put your eyes in a different layer. And the next thing you're probably going to have to do is that your head is probably connected to your body still. So you're going to have to cut the head right where a natural seam is. So you can see that my character has some sort of an iron vest on. So what you want to do, whatever your clothing is, you need to, so if you have a low neckline, you're going to need to make sure that you cover up any issues, because if I were to go too high, then when I do my blend shapes and duplicate this over, I'm going to run into issues with seams and stuff. So you want to hide anything, so you're going to cut just below where you can see, and that way we hide that her head is separated. Okay, this won't matter in rigging, but make sure you do a good job and try to keep it as even as you possibly can. But that's what you're going to do. You're going to separate the head from the body, okay, like I did. But you're going to use your clothing to hide your seam, okay? So the next thing you're going to do is, if you don't have any blend shapes are basically run by vertices. It will know exactly how many vertices and faces you have. So if you make a mistake, you need to check that out. We do not want to bring the eyes with it when we duplicate it over. It becomes very difficult. You also probably do not want to bring your teeth, or if you have teeth for your character, if you modeled teeth or whatever, tongues or anything like that, you don't want to bring that over. So with all that said, then you will just duplicate this piece. So you're going to want to delete history. Okay, so you can go to edit, delete by type history, or you can go into your poly modeling, select your object, and click on this guy right here. Okay, all right. So you may find that you don't have a center pivot, so I want you to center pivot. Now this is before you do any blend shapes at all. So if you've done some, you really can't do this. You'll have to start over. So you're going to center pivot, and then you're going to delete history on that. So you want to center pivot, delete history, so we can move that over. All right, now, so how this works, we're going to want to make sure that we have the same vertex count between each one of these targets. So I'm going to go to display, heads up display. I'm going to make sure I can show polygon count. So poly count, click on that, and this will show how many polygons we have. Right now we have 62,223 vertices, okay, just in the face. Now you're going to have something different, of course, because I've got a different model. I modeled my eyelashes, and I actually colored in eyebrows where the eyebrows are. It's really going to be hard to see what your expressions look like without eyebrows, so make sure you do that. All right, so that's before you get started on this. So make sure your textures, your face is textured, and you've got some type of eyebrows, whether you model the eyebrows or not. Make sure the model, if you did model the eyebrows, make sure they're on your character and combine it to your character face. Okay? Don't keep those separate. All right, the eyes don't go with it, so after all that's done, you just do a Control D, duplicate, move it over. All right, so we want 6. You have an extra credit, so 6 is what you have to do for me, and the extra credit is 8 different expressions, and I want you to name those. All right, so 6 you have to do. All right, so you don't want to duplicate the duplicate. You want to duplicate the original. So that's the original, the default pose. I'm going to go Control D again and just duplicate over. And do not delete history now, otherwise you'll ruin any of your blend shapes. So after you duplicate and you move things around, move vertices around, then you're going to have some issues, okay? Basically issues that you won't be able to correct if you duplicate a duplicate, because it wants to know where this pivot point is. So when I duplicate, it remembers where it came from. So that's essential. So you'll duplicate, what do we got? 5, 1, 2, yep. So I need one more. There we go. So you can evenly space them, whatever you want to do from the front view, back view, whatever. Okay, it doesn't mean they have to be perfectly aligned or anything. You can even bring them down, okay, and over if you want to. Whatever you'd like to do, okay. So it doesn't matter where they're at, just that you duplicate from the original. Again, we don't want any eyes in here. Now, if you find that you need an eyeball in there, if you're like closing the eye or shutting the eye, then you probably will want to duplicate that eyeball, just Control D, and duplicate it over, so you have a reference, okay? But normally I would just keep it as is. Make sure I didn't do anything here. Yeah, good. All right, so that's the part that gets students, is you have to duplicate the original. All right, so now you've got the character. You don't need the hair or anything like that, so I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of the hair here. And anything else that's getting in the way, I'll probably leave the eyes in there. And let's go ahead and get rid of everything else that is on this character here. So we can just focus on the head. All right, so just going to hit the F key to focus on that, so I can rotate around that character. And whatever I want to do, if I want to, you have to kind of look at your reference and figure out what you want to do. I'm not going to go into doing a particular example of a expression, but what I will probably do is just show you some of the things you can do and some of the things I wouldn't do. So when you're working, and this is pretty high poly here, so when I'm working with a mesh, usually I want the mesh to be quite a bit lower poly. I mean, smoothing at 1. This has been smoothed at 2. But I wanted to use this just as a reference. So this is way higher poly, and the higher poly you have, the harder it is to move these vertices around. Okay, so my tool that I like to use, either the sculpting tool, or you can use soft select tool. So I'm going to double click on the move tool here and go into soft selection and click on it and get it activated. Okay, and then you've got all these attributes here you can use. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is select a vertex of some kind, and that will allow us to go ahead and start moving this around and getting and you can rotate then these vertices around however you want. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. You can use sculpting tools, and there's some sculpting tools in here. We can go into sculpting tools, and we can use the sculpting tools that we have here. Okay, I've even had students that feel more comfortable using ZBrush, and they can bring their ZBrush models in there. Just make sure that you don't have the eyes with it, the hair, or anything else, just the head. And then you have to export it out exactly the same number of vertices. That's what it's going by. So if you sculpt in ZBrush or another program, you got to make sure that the vertices are the exact same count. You can't retopologize. You can't subdivide it more. If you do, that's going to cause all kinds of problems. So just remember that. You have to have the same amount of vertices as the original. Okay, so there's the tools there if you need to use those. I prefer to use the soft select tool. And I can hold the B key down and make it bigger, smaller, and you've got all kinds of controls here. So you can select a vertex and move it, and you know how soft select works. If you haven't used it, it's really pretty cool. You can just go really slowly. And there's different types. We can probably close the eye a little bit more. And again, I'm just doing this really quickly. It's not a very good job, but because I got so many polygons here. There we go. So I can make that a little bit bigger probably. And you notice that we're getting the bottom too. So there's some tools you can use to keep from doing that. Okay. So I'm going to go back in here, open up the soft select tool, and we're going to change this to surface. Okay. This allows us to just focus on the surface of this, and it won't interfere with anything down below it. Okay, so let's say I want to move this up, so I'm going to hold the Shift key and click on these vertices here all the way around. You have to be careful now. I can just maybe Control select to make sure I don't have anything else out. And you can also change the pattern of this to fit any way you want. So you can add more in certain spots and less, and you can get rid of these. Okay, so this is your fall off curve. You can see how that works. Okay, I can bring this down a little bit more like that, just to kind of focus on just the upper eyelid like this if I want to. Again, I'm not doing anything with the eyelash, so I have to be kind of careful how I do this. And this is actually seeing it as a separate object, okay, which can be kind of a problem, but you know, I can work on that later. But I can bring this down, this eye down, and also I can bring this down if I want to. Select the pieces on here. I can hit the Q key if that gets in the way, and just get all that selected since that seems to, whoops, got something behind it. And just make sure I get everything, and I can move that down as well to fit the eyelid as it goes down. Okay, if I want to click on, if I basically want to see everything, and I can even move this up just a little bit. You can see how powerful this is. Hit the Q key if the manipulator gets in the way. Right, and just move that up a little bit like that. Kind of a squint, and then if I want to kind of round this out a little bit more, bring that up a little bit. And you can also rotate. Now, rotational values, you have to be kind of careful, as you can see where I'm at now with that. So we got kind of a, so it takes time. You can see that it takes a lot of time to do that. But that's your favorite, that's going to be your favorite tool to use. It's like the sculpting tool. It's got a fall off, and it's very helpful. If you make mistakes, you can kind of tweak those out if you want to. All right, so that's basically that tool, and you'll get better at that as you move along. So until you get all of them done. Now, here's the thing: if you do have issues, always look at the poly count. So right now we got 62, 23. and we've got 6223. So I know this is going to work. So I'm going to go in here, and if you want to test it, you sure can. That's what I would do until you go. If you go too far, then if something doesn't work, you waste all that time. So do a little something with the eye, like what I got there, and then select that, and you want to shift select the original. So the target first, and then the original. So let's say you get all, this, we're going to find out this works. So let's go ahead and do it, and I'll show you how it all looks. So we've got the blend shape here, and I've got blend shapes on this already, so you're going to see them, but I'll show you the new one that I do. So I'm going to go in here and name that polysurface something different. So I'm going to do, let's say, Li lid down. Okay, left eyelid down. So I'm going to hit enter. So I'm going to name it, and that will help. Now, I'm not worried about the original. You could call that, I guess, face if you want to. And so I'm going to select this first, and then shift select this. So if I were to have all of them done, we're going to test this first, but if I get all these done, then I select whatever random order that I want. It doesn't matter, but I'll select this one first and go all the way down. And you always want to select the original last, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so we're just going to click on this one, and then shift select this one and hold down the space bar. We're going to go to deform, and we're going to go to blend shape, and that's the very top one, and then click on the option box. And in here, you're going to go and call it whatever you want, but I've already named it, so it should be okay. Target shape options in between. We want check topology. Do we want to delete targets? No, we'll leave the target the way it is because we want to keep those. And then we want to go ahead and create. Okay. So with that done, then we go over here and we focus on the original, because this won't matter anymore. We just that will never matter once we add the blend shape to the character. So what I've done is I added this blend shape to this character. Okay, so when we want to check it, so how do we check it? So we have our pose done over here, and so I want to check it. So I go to Windows. We want to go to Animation Editors, and we want to go to Shape Editor. And in here you'll see I've got my left eyelid down. Okay, this is my blend shape. Okay, we can rename this stuff anything we want to, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. This just means this is the weight of that particular blend shape right here. That's the weight. So we want it to be 100% or 1. And we go down to the eyelid, the left eyelid down. This is our blend shape. Now watch this. It's pretty cool. I'm going to click off here so you don't see this other thing. Cover that up a little bit, and we're going to move that, and you can see that eyelid going down. Very, very cool. So it's very powerful. Okay, I could keep going, and shape this to where it totally closes. But that's how the blend shapes work. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is, once you get all your blend shapes done, you can easily take your eyes, okay, and duplicate them, Control D, and move them over to each one of these before you do screenshots of all the shapes that you create, and move them all the way over so you guys can give me those 6. Turn in those 6, and I want each one to be highlighted. Okay, screenshots, right? So you give me your, and of course you have to do more than just this, but I wanted to show you how you could get started. Okay, so anyway, good luck with the soft selection. If you run into issues, please email me. Let me know what's going on. If you have questions or problems, send me your MB file if you need to, so I can check it to make sure everything's okay. But if you just follow those rules that I showed you. Now, once you get a blend shape done, the surefire way to get rid of it and delete it is to delete the history. So if you mess up so bad on your original and the blend shapes don't look good, you can always select the object and delete history, and it will get rid of everything that is in your shape editor. So the shape editor, if I deleted the history here, it would delete everything here, so you could start from scratch if you wanted to. So that's another way to clear things out. Just making sure that your topology is exactly the same, meaning that you have the same amount of vertices and faces, is essential. And I wish you the best of luck to get all your stuff done, and use any tool that you can. Again, because my surface is such high poly, I have to be super careful when if you try to move separate vertices around without doing that, it can cause all kinds of problems. It will not look good. So just moving some vertices around is probably not a good idea. You always want to use this tool here, and you can make it as small as you want to by holding down the B key. Okay, so if I select this and I find out, wow, I really kind of messed up there and I don't want to influence anything else, then I can just click on that and make those changes just to that area there. Okay, so just be careful. It'll start getting wonky if you're not careful with that stuff. So if there's some spots that are kind of goofy, you probably want to get those fixed right away. And you can remake your blend shapes anytime you want. If you don't like a blend shape, you can delete it in the shape editor. If you don't like something you've done here, like this eyelash here, it's kind of got a little bit janky because I was moving things around, but you just, be careful what you're doing, and you can, if you get the brush small enough, you can do one vertex at a time. But what's nice about this, it kind of treats it a little bit differently than one vertex at a time. It does move everything around it, which is kind of nice. It depends on what you have set up. Anyway, so you got lots of ways to work with these, and I just want to get you started on at least understanding how to fix things and make sure you do things right the first time. But just double check your vertex amount between each one of these, because you can't add things, right? Like if you decide I really don't like the ear and I want it to be more pointed, well, I would recommend that you do a blend shape for that. Just create your own blend shapes and move the ears up if you want to, create like an elf type of ear, more pointed. It's really up to you what you do with your character. Once we got it built, I'm no longer grading you on your model. So as long as it looks good, I'm not going to have any issues with it. Okay, so anyway, have fun, enjoy, and you can do all kinds of really cool stuff with blend shapes. But just focus on what we're doing with the expressions. That's what I want you to do right now. And again, I'll see you later.